New recommendations from the FDA on who should receive coronavirus boosters. Plus, a group of American citizens have been kidnapped in Haiti. And in sports, Ohio soccer continues its quest for a MAC regular season title. Newswatch starts right now. Good evening and welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. I'm Madison Moore. West Virginia employees may be limited in their ability to require workers to be vaccinated against the coronavirus. The House of Delegates passed a proposal that will allow certain medical and religious exemptions to COVID-19 vaccine mandates. On Friday, the Republican-led House passed the bill and is currently pending in the Senate. The bill covers businesses and state government agencies. Employees would not be allowed to penalize or discriminate against the employees for pursuing the exemptions. Governor Jim Justice added the bill to legislature's special session this week. Hospitals, banks, and the West Virginia Chamber of Commerce are some of the businesses that have expressed to lawmakers they strongly oppose the bill. Adults that received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine are now recommended to receive a booster shot. FDA advisors recommend the booster shot should be taken at least 2 months after the first shots. CNN's Jean Caceres has more.
Advisors from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration voted unanimously to recommend emergency authorization of a booster dose of Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine, and a day later did so again for a booster of Johnson & Johnson's vaccine.
We do have 19 out of 19 unanimous yes votes.
The group voted Friday to authorize a booster shot of Johnson & Johnson's vaccine for Americans 18 and older at least 2 months after they get their first shots.
It will increase efficacy against severe disease. It will increase efficacy against all symptomatic COVID, and it will increase the breadth of the immune response against variants.
Johnson & Johnson says studies showed boosting at 2 or 6 months can bring effectiveness up to 94%.
I think this, frankly, was always a 2-dose vaccine. I think it's better as a 2-dose vaccine.
More than 9 million people have received a booster dose of coronavirus vaccine, according to the latest data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. That is nearly 5% of those who were already fully vaccinated. Unvaccinated adults are 19 times more likely to be hospitalized and 11 times more likely to die. In Chicago, Illinois, police officers must submit to testing or prove that they are vaccinated.
What we've seen from the Fraternal Order of Police, and particularly the leadership, is a lot of misinformation, a lot of half-truths, and frankly flat-out lies in order to induce an insurrection, and we're not having that.
Their union says half of the cops haven't had their shots.
But even the ones that are still, like myself, believe that a forced mandate is absolutely wrong.
Friday evening, a court granted the city of Chicago's request for a temporary restraining order against Fraternal Order of Police President John Catanzara, prohibiting him from making public comments to media or on social media, encouraging Chicago police officers to refuse to comply with the city's vaccination order. Data isn't available yet to know whether COVID-19 vaccines will need to be given every year, as influenza vaccines are. National Institutes of Health Director Dr. Francis Collins said Friday, starting on November 8th, foreign visitors who are fully vaccinated against COVID-19 will be able to travel to the United States, the White House said Friday. That is good news for the U.S. tourist industry. Jean Caceres, CNN, New York.
Yesterday, the Ohio Department of Health reported 65 new hospitalizations and 3 new ICU patients from coronavirus. These numbers were much lower than Saturday's 181 hospitalizations, with 31 more patients admitted to the ICUs.
Hi everybody, I'm weather forecaster Cam Kuzno. It's been a nice week so far in Athens, Ohio, and right now the weather in Athens is a calm 62 degrees and clear, and it is sunny. The wind right now is blowing west between 0 and 5 miles per hour, and across the region you'll see most of the same thing. Temperatures in the low 60s that will continue this pattern of clear weather that has seen us for the past few days. And the week ahead, we will see a fall cool down continue as low temperatures will plummet into the 40s. We will see some clear and pleasant conditions during the day that is being brought to us by some high pressure. And later in the week, we will see some potential rain showers that will come across the area that is being brought about by a low pressure system. That's all I have for first weather. Back to you, Madison.
One West Virginia county is seeing less overdose deaths compared to previous years in nearby areas. Wood County, West Virginia Coroner Mike St. Clair says the county's 2020 overdose numbers declined sharply from the year before. Wood County reported just 31 overdose deaths in 2020, a drop from 45 deaths the year before. That's as the nation saw more than 96,000 drug overdose deaths from March of 2020 to March of this year. It's a leading cause or preventable death in the U.S. Binge drinking is a big problem for many Americans. A new CDC research shows excessive alcohol use kills more than 95,000 people every year. Mandy Gaither has a look at the numbers.
Alarming research into a serious problem.
Excessive alcohol use is a leading preventable cause of death and disease in the U.S.
Marissa Esser is one of the authors of a recent report by the CDC which looked at binge drinking in 2018, defined as 4 or more drinks on one occasion for women and 5 or more for men. Researchers found 1 in 6 U.S. adults reported binge drinking during the past 30 days. 25% of those reported doing it at least weekly, and 25% also said they had at least 8 drinks at a time.
This is a very risky pattern of drinking that can increase the risk of harms, such as chronic conditions including cancer, heart disease, liver disease, alcohol use disorder, as well as the short-term effects, such as the injuries and violence and alcohol poisoning and other drug overdoses as well.
The pandemic may have worsened the problem.
Given the incredible stress that our nation is under during this health crisis, likely these numbers would be worse if collected today.
Dr. Trent Hall is an addiction medicine specialist at Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center. He says get help if you're using alcohol because of depression or another illness. You can also set a goal to cut back on drinking, seek accountability from friends and family, and if you do consume alcohol, Hall says to space out drinks.
Have an alcoholic beverage followed by a non-alcoholic beverage. Essentially cut your drinking in half in that way.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
There's a national helpline for anyone concerned about their alcohol use. Through the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration, that number is 1-800-662-HELP. A state man has died from COVID-19 complications, and the CDC has released new guidance on how to safely celebrate during this upcoming holiday season. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
What to feed our ever-expanding world? Insects.
They could feed the world.
Healthy.
They're full of polyunsaturated fat, protein, and micronutrients.
And sustainable.
Insects will be a mainstream protein alternative.
Too nervous?
I'm right there with you still.
Wait for a taste.
That's delicious.
It is gastronomy in the highest form.
Edible insects on Nova.
This bridge proved the power of a miracle material and ride the railroad that made coast-to-coast train travel possible.
I'm Jeffrey Bear, and I'll be your guide
as we visit 10 amazing feats of civil engineering.
Find out which marvels made the list
of 10 modern marvels that changed America.
I volunteered for missions. It was just too exciting.
Beware what you wish for.
That's when the ambush starts.
He was walking on the ridgeline, and I fired.
You are never the same.
It's important for people to hear these stories, to understand why and when and where we send our sons and daughters to go and fight, but also in helping us to come home.
American Veteran, Tuesday, October 26th at 9, 8 Central, only on PBS.
Next time on Antiques Roadshow Best Bargains, we're revisiting the stories of some of our guests' most incredible deals.
Well, I found them at a local thrift store. They were in a bin, and they were 25 cents a piece.
But I decided to go ahead and purchase it. Ended up paying $6 for this piece of art.
$6. But are their purchases still a steal now? Find out next time on Antiques Roadshow Best Bargains.
Former Secretary of State Colin Powell has died at the age of 84 from COVID-19 complications. Powell leaves behind an unparalleled legacy in Washington and around the world from his decades in public service. Chris Nuwan has more.
The world reacting to the death of former Secretary of State Colin Powell, the first African-American and youngest chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and later the first African-American Secretary of State under President George W. Bush.
So I've always felt strongly that you should try to solve conflicts in this world through negotiations, through diplomacy.
Former President Bush releasing a statement Monday saying in part, he was such a favorite of presidents that he earned the Presidential Medal of Freedom twice. He was highly respected at home and abroad. And most important, Colin was a family man and a friend. Powell made headlines in 2008 when the Republican endorsed then Democratic candidate Barack Obama over his friend John McCain. President Joe Biden's Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin also reacting to the loss of his friend.
He always had great counsel. We will certainly miss him. I feel as if I have a hole in my heart just learning of this.
Powell grew up in the Bronx, New York. His parents immigrated from Jamaica. He served 2 tours in Vietnam, rising through the ranks to become a 4-star general. As Secretary of State, he made the case before the UN Security Council in 2003 to invade Iraq based on intelligence that it had weapons of mass destruction. The war lasted more than 8 years. No weapons of mass destruction ever turned up.
I regret it now because the information was wrong.
Powell spent his civilian years empowering youth through his projects.
When I heard their stories, I said, this is where I belong. I'm home again.
Powell died from complications from COVID-19, according to his family. He was 84 years old. In Washington, I'm Chris Wynn.
The death of an American icon is spotlighting the potential dangers of COVID-19, particularly for those in high-risk groups. And as the holiday season approaches, new guidance from the CDC provides recommendations on how to protect those most vulnerable and help prevent another winter surge. Camilla Bernal has the latest.
The death of former U.S. Secretary of State Colin Powell serving as a reminder of the continued threat of COVID-19. Powell's family says he was fully vaccinated but suffered a rare breakthrough case. Powell's longtime aide telling CNN he was also battling Parkinson's and multiple myeloma, a form of plasma cancer that suppresses the body's immune response.
General Powell represented our most vulnerable population in this country.
Only 1 in 26,000 fully vaccinated Americans, or 0.0004%, has died of COVID-19, according to the CDC, while the risk of dying from COVID-19 is 11 times higher for unvaccinated adults, underscoring the importance of getting the shot.
We get vaccinated as healthy people, in part to protect the most vulnerable among us.
As the rate of new infections continues to decline, health experts warn against complacency.
It's so important to get vaccinated for the good of the community to keep the level of infection down.
The CDC releasing guidance Friday recommending all eligible Americans be vaccinated and continue wearing masks indoors, particularly in areas with high transmission and around those most at risk, like young children who are not yet eligible for the vaccine.
When you do that, there's no reason at all why you can't enjoy the holidays.
I'm Camila Bernal reporting.
A group of American citizens have been kidnapped in Haiti. That story's still ahead.
And a high-pressure system has brought us calm and clear weather so far this week. But how long will it last? Stay tuned after the break for my full forecast. But for now, let's have a look at some stocks of local interest.
This bridge proved the power of a miracle material, and ride the railroad that made coast-to-coast train travel possible.
I'm Jeffrey Bear, and I'll be your guide.
As we visit 10 amazing feats of civil engineering.
Find out which marvels made the list.
Of 10 modern marvels that changed America.
Southeast Ohio football is back and better than ever in 2021, and Gridiron Glory has you covered with the latest stories and award-winning coverage from around the region. Tune in Fridays at 11:30 p.m. and Saturdays at 11:30 a.m. to find out who's bringing the glory all season long. You can catch all this season's action at woub.org/gridiron, or stay up to date and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Get ready, and remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
I volunteered for missions. It was just too exciting.
Beware what you wish for.
That's when the ambush starts.
He was walking on the ridgeline, and I fired.
You are never the same.
It's important for people to hear these stories to understand why and when and where we send our sons and daughters to go and fight, but also in helping us to come home.
American Veteran, Tuesday, October 26 at 9, 8 Central, only on PBS.
Rediscover the complex life and legacy of Helen Keller. Deaf and blind since childhood, she used her celebrity and wit to advocate for human rights.
She was such a trailblazer for so many of these social movements.
Learn how a determined spirit made her a worldwide icon.
She transcended nationhood.
Becoming Helen Keller.
The curtain rose on my life's work.
On American Masters.
Hi everybody, I'm weather forecaster Cam Kuzno, and after some severe weather in southeast Ohio early this weekend, we've seen some nice, calm, and clear weather settle in with our first taste of fall temperatures. You can see this on the visible satellite image, as there is a very definitive clear area over Ohio. Tonight in the hour by hour, you'll see 52 degrees at 8 o'clock p.m. with a clear sky, and at 10 o'clock p.m. the temperature will decrease to 48 as wind will calm down. You'll see some potential morning fog at 12 o'clock a.m. and a temperature of 46 degrees with the sky staying very clear. And tonight, we will see a low of 41 degrees and clear skies. Our sunrise time is going to be 7:42 a.m. as we're going to see that time creep later and later into the morning as the year goes on. Winds will be very calm tonight, and across the region we will see relatively stable temperatures in the low 40s across the whole area. We will see 44 degrees up in Columbus and down to 41 in Athens and Jackson. Today's surface analysis, you can see high pressure has settled into our area. There's a high pressure system located in southern Kentucky that has brought us this nice weather. Tomorrow in Athens, we will see a rapid warm-up starting at around 8 o'clock a.m. The weather will be 50 degrees, and at 10 o'clock a.m., you'll see the temperature jump a whole 11 degrees up to 61 degrees as the wind will pick up. The weather will stay clear for pretty much the whole day, and we will see pleasant conditions at noon with a nice temperature of 65 degrees. Tomorrow in Athens, the high is 71 degrees in the mid-afternoon, and it will be clear, which will be brought about by this whole high pressure system. We will see some patchy but dense fog in the morning, and winds will be blowing southwest between 0 and 5 miles per hour. Across the area tomorrow, we will see temperatures in the the high 60s to mid 70s, with 71 degrees in Athens and part of the southern part of our viewing area, and 68 degrees out east towards Marietta and New Martinsville. The surface analysis tomorrow will show this high pressure system moves south into Tennessee and North Carolina. But keep an eye on this low pressure system located in Nebraska, as that will bring us some trouble later into the week. And for our 7-day forecast, we will see temperatures in the 70s, which will be that high pressure system in action, and that low pressure system will move into the area on Thursday, where we will see a 70% chance of rain. Temperatures will then dip colder as cold air will move into the area, and we will see low temperatures in the 40s all the way down to 40 degrees on Saturday. That's all I have for weather. Back to you, Madison.
Thanks, Cam. 16 Americans and 1 Canadian were kidnapped in Haiti over the weekend. A 2-year-old was among one of those abducted, according to the Christian organization. This morning, their whereabouts are still unknown. This comes amid an uptick in violence and kidnappings in the country. Mandy Gaither has the latest.
According to the Ohio-based Christian Aid Ministries organization, 17 missionaries, including 5 children, were kidnapped just north of Haiti's capital on Saturday. Their whereabouts still unknown.
This hits home, so we keep them in our prayers, and the U.S. government will do everything we can to get them back.
The organization says 16 Americans and 1 Canadian were abducted. A source in Haiti's security forces told CNN it's believed they were kidnapped by gang members at gunpoint. The missionaries were traveling to a small village after visiting an orphanage near Port-au-Prince.
We need to track down where they are and see if negotiations without paying ransom are possible, or do whatever we need to on a military front or police front.
In a statement, Christian Aid Ministries saying, "We are seeking God's direction for a resolution, and authorities are seeking ways to help." Kidnappings have surged in Haiti this year, with numbers rising nearly 300% since July, according to a human rights research group in Port-au-Prince. There have been at least 628 kidnappings since January, 29 of them involving foreigners. As of August, the U.S. State Department has advised citizens not to travel to Haiti, in part due to the risk of kidnapping. I'm Mandy Gaither reporting.
According to a senior U.S. official familiar with the situation, the FBI and State Department officials are working around the clock to secure the release of the Americans, but still don't know their location.
Good evening, everybody. Coming up in sports, an Ohio player is now in the NCAA record book with an impressive play he made Saturday up at Buffalo. And right after the break, Ohio soccer is coming down the home stretch in conference play and just a few wins away from securing a MAC title. That and more coming up next on Newswatch. And be sure to stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
This bridge proved the power of a miracle material and ride the railroad that made coast-to-coast train travel possible.
I'm Jeffrey Bear, and I'll be your guide
as we visit 10 amazing feats of civil engineering.
Find out which marvels made the list
of 10 modern marvels that changed America.
I volunteered for missions. It was just too exciting.
Beware what you wish for.
That's when the ambush starts.
He was walking on the ridge line, and I fired.
You are never the same.
It's important for people to hear these stories, to understand why and when and where we send our sons and daughters to go and fight, but also in helping us to come home.
American Veteran, Tuesday, October 26 at 9, 8 Central, only on PBS.
Southeast Ohio football is back and better than ever in 2021, and Gridiron Glory has you covered with the latest stories and award-winning coverage from around the region. Tune in Fridays at 11:30 p.m. and Saturdays at 11:30 a.m. to find out who's bringing the glory all season long. You can catch all this season's action at woub.org/gridiron, or stay up to date and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Get ready, and remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Rediscover the complex life and legacy of Helen Keller. Deaf and blind since childhood, she used her celebrity and wit to advocate for human rights.
She was such a trailblazer for so many of these social movements.
Learn how a determined spirit made her a worldwide icon.
She transcended nationhood.
Becoming Helen Keller.
The curtain rose on my life's work.
On American Masters.
Hello again, everybody. I'm Brian Kerp. Ohio soccer is creeping closer to its first MAC regular season title since 2004, led by dominating defense. The Bobcats continue to lock down opponents on the pitch. Ohio has so far allowed just 2 goals in 8 conference games with 6 shutouts. The most recent shutout came yesterday against rival Miami, 1-0. The lone goal came from Serena Dierig in the 75th minute. Now Ohio is at the top of the MAC standings with 3 conference matches remaining. The Bobcats welcome Eastern Michigan Thursday, and the Eagles sit second to last in the MAC. Ohio then visits Central Michigan and then has a big matchup with Kent State to close the season. You can circle your calendars for that one, but Coach Aaron Rodgers says he's not looking that far ahead.
This year we're only doing the top 6 teams in the MAC tournament, and so it's a very tight field right now. So we're again, like I said, we're just going game by game, and we're very proud to have got a result today, and now we got to focus on Eastern Michigan here on Thursday.
Armani Rogers' name is in the NCAA football record book thanks to an impressive play at Buffalo on Saturday. The Bobcats defense made a stop on 4th down, setting up the offense on its own 1-yard line, but that was no problem for Rogers. He takes it 99 yards all the way to the end zone. Rogers' run is the longest ever by a quarterback in NCAA history.
They were telling me, let's just make this one play, and then I ended up going out there and it ended up literally being one play. So it was a funny, happy experience because we were all talking about it like, let's go make this one play, and I ended up actually making it happen.
But Ohio is still having problems finishing games. The Bobcats squandered a 21-0 first quarter lead and 16 points led entering the 4th quarter. Costly errors and penalties helped the Bulls charge back they finished with a field goal as time expired. This is the 2nd straight week the Bobcats spoiled a 4th quarter lead, and head coach Tim Albin says he is still looking for answers.
I'm disappointed with how we finished down the stretch. Too many mistakes, self-inflicted. It's very disappointing. That's not who we are, but it was today. I said, hey, the team that comes out in the second half and executes is going to prevail. It's going to come down to the wire. It did, and we did not. We did things that we have not done all year.
Ohio volleyball is hitting its stride after a sluggish season start. The squad was also up in Buffalo and had big success, taking both matches from the Bulls. Bobcats came away with a 3-1 victory on Friday night. Ohio took the first 2 sets and then the decisive 4th set. MAC Defensive Player of the Week Sam Steele led the way for Ohio with a match-leading 25 digs. Bobcats held the Bulls to a hit percentage under 200. And Ohio busted out the brooms on Saturday, sweeping the match and the weekend. Steele again led the Bobcats with 28 digs as Ohio dominated the Bulls. The Bobcats are back at 500 in MAC play. That's it for sports. Now back to Madison.
Thanks, Brian. Police from Queensland, Australia released footage of a destructive high-speed chase on a tractor. The video begins with the suspect using a front-loader tractor to steal a pair of motorcycles. When officers caught up with him, the suspect dropped the bikes and took off, leading police on a dangerous high-speed pursuit. As the suspect abandoned the tractor, the road race became a foot chase. Eventually, K9 units found the man in a creek, where he was taken into custody. Police say the motorbike business sustained heavy damage, but thankfully no one was injured in the chase.
Hi everybody, I'm Cam Kuzno, and you'll see the weather in Athens tomorrow. We'll see a high of 71 degrees as that high pressure system is going to continue to bring clear weather to the area. And across the area we will see stable temperatures and a potential chance of rain on Thursday. That's your last look at the weather. Back to you, Madison.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Madison Moore. And make sure to stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. Have a great night.
Support comes from Dean Heating and Cooling. Stay warm this winter with energy-efficient TempStar heating. Dean Heating and Cooling provides HVAC services and installation in the Athens area, featuring TempStar quality you can feel.